So today's topic is packaging of DNA, packaging of DNA, prokaryotic DNA, prokaryotic DNA. First, let us understand about prokaryotic DNA and then we will see about the eukaryotic DNA. Prokaryotic DNA, basically DNA which is found in bacteria, cyanobacteria. So prokaryotic DNA is first of all circular. It is a circular DNA. It is not a linear DNA. So it is a circular DNA and it DNA is negatively charged. You should understand that the DNA is negatively charged, and along with the DNA, negatively charged DNA, it is associated with positively charged proteins. So the negatively charged DNA is associated with positively charged proteins, but these proteins are not histones. So they are not histones. We'll understand what are histones. Histones basically are basic proteins. So they are not associated with histones. Okay, it is not histones. So negatively charged DNA associated with proteins, but they are not histones. So basically, sometimes the prokaryotic DNA is also called the naked DNA. Naked DNA. Now, the word naked means it is not associated with histones. The next is eukaryotic DNA. Eukaryotic DNA. Eukaryote means true cell. They are plant cells and animal cells. They are considered to be true cells. Pro means first form cells. So the DNA of bacteria comes under prokaryotic. Eukaryotic is basically the true cells. So the eukaryotic DNA is first of all linear DNA. This is a circular DNA. This is a linear DNA. And the DNA is associated with histones. Histones, like I said, are basic proteins. Histones are basic proteins. Now, this basic protein is rich in what? See, proteins are made up of amino acids. So, when I say basic proteins, then it will be rich in basic amino acids. So, histones, so DNA again negatively charged, histone will be positively charged. So, these negatively, positively, they are joining together. So, DNA is associated with histones and basic proteins. So, like I said, they are basic proteins, so they should be rich in basic amino acid. So, here I'll write down histones are rich in basic amino acids like lysine and arginine. So, if you're asked what are histones, so the answer will be histones are basic amino acids which is associated with the eukaryotic DNA, and it is rich in the basic amino acid like lysine and arginine. Okay. Now, when you see the nucleus coming to a eukaryotic cell like this, a plant cell, this is the nucleus. In the nucleus, you'll find these thread like structures. Remember cell division, when we started cell division, the first stage, I mean, interphase, when the cell is resting, the nucleus has thin thread like structures. So the thin thread like structures is called chromatin, right? The thin thread like structures present in an interphase nucleus. Interphase. Interphase. Nucleus which is resting, not dividing, is called, this thread like structure is called chromatin. Now, when the cell starts to divide, this chromatin becomes condensed and it is called the chromosome. Fine. We all know that the chromosome has the genes, so obviously the chromatin is also is the same thing, because chromatin is basically the thread like structure which becomes condensed to form the chromosome. So this chromatin will has a beaded structure made up of units of nucleosome. So chromatin, if you ask what is chromatin, thread-like structure present in the interphase nucleus, and the thread-like structure, it has a beaded structure like this. Bead. Just think of a string of pearls, right? Think of a string of pearls, pearl necklace. So the pearl bead, then the thread like this. So this is a beaded structure, and the beaded structure is having units of nucleosome. So this is a nucleosome. When I say like this is a nucleosome. So if I draw a nucleosome, it will be the bead, okay, that circle, round part, bead, and a like this. That is the thread which is passing through the bead. So the beaded structure, this whole beaded structure unit, so this is one unit is called nucleosome. So a nucleosome is consists of a core particle. A nucleosome consists of core particle and this one linker. Okay, a nucleosome. So basically chromatin has a beaded structure, which is each beaded structure or the each unit is called the nucleosome. So the nucleosome consists of core particle and a linker. Now when you think of a pearl necklace, the pearl will be the core particle and the thread passing through that is the linker. So core, linker, again core, linker. This is how the chromatin is formed of. Fine. So nucleosome, units, beaded units in the chromatin is nucleosome. Each nucleosome consists of a core particle and linker. Now coming to the core particle. What is the core particle consisting of? So here I will take core particle. Core particle has 146 base pair. This is the DNA. Okay, 146 base pair DNA plus 2 into 4 histones. That is H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. See, I'm putting a comma, okay? So 2 into H2A, H2B, H2, H3 and H4 histone. That means 4 histones into 2, meaning 8. Octamer. Octamer histone. How many histones? 8 histones. So the core particle, this core particle, if you look at look at my fist, this is the core particle. This core particle is having a fist, is made up of this octamer. This octamer means four histones, and each histone is double, so 8. What are the four histone? H2A, H2B, H3, H4 into 2, so 8. And around this is the DNA coiled. So this histone is positively charged, and the DNA, this 146 base pair DNA, is negatively charged. It is wrapped around the octamer. So there's a diagram which I'll draw later on. It's there in the NCRT book also. But that is what an core particle consists of. So core particle consists of octamer histone, which is positively charged, and around this, wrapped around this, is the negatively charged DNA. That is core particle. Now, what is the linker consisting of? The linker has, so linker has 80 base pair and H1 histone. Linker has 80 base pair and H1 histone. That is only one histone, that is H1. So a nucleosome. Now we come to the nucleosome. The nucleosome consists of a core particle and linker. If you add up all, then the nucleosome will have 146 base pair plus 80, that will come to 226 base pair, plus octamer means 8 histones here plus 1 histone here, 9 histones. 9 histones present in the nucleosome. How many types of histones? 5 types of histones. H1, H2A, H2B, H3, H4. Itna detail is not given in the NCRT, but that's it. But anyway, for your entrance and all, you have to remember, and it's good to write details also. So in the NCRT, it is given that nucleosome has around 200 base pair. So here now it is 200, around 200. So here it is 146 base pair plus 80 base pair, that is 226 base pair, and total 9 histones, 8 histones in the form of octamer, 1 histone in the form of in linker. Types, if you are asked, then there are 5 types: H1, H2A, H2B, H3, and H4 histones. So this is about the chromatin. So let's start right from here. Once more, we will recap. Chromatin consists of beaded structure. Each bead or each unit of the chromatin is known as nucleosome. The nucleosome consists of a core particle and a linker. The core particle has an histone octamer, and the DNA is wrapped around that histone, and this is the breakup of it: 146 base pair plus 2 into H2A, H2B, H3, and H4 histones, and the linker consists of 80 base pair plus H1 histone. Now coming to the diagram, I will just explain. I'll give you the diagram of So this is the wrapped down DNA. This is the DNA. This one is the octamer. So DNA plus octamer together will be called core particle. Okay, this is the wrapped DNA and this one is the octamer. So together it's called the core particle and this one is the linker. So this is the diagram of a nucleosome. So the nucleosome diagram is there in the NCRT book. I think page I will give you in your page 99. Page 99 of the NCRT book that you can see. Uh, and it could be also asked as a diagrammatic question. So we have completed this packing of DNA, but chromatin, chromatin types. What are the types of chromatin? Two types. So two types of chromatin, euchromatin and heterochromatin. So chromatin consists of two types, euchromatin and heterochromatin. Euchromatin and heterochromatin.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, are the linkers made up of H1 histone also?
Yeah, it is made up of DNA and H1 histone.
Okay, ma'am.
The euchromatin and heterochromatin, I will just explain. First, I'll draw one diagram and explain the thing, and then we will write. Okay. Let's consider the nucleus. This is the nucleus. I'm just drawing the nucleus. Now, in the nucleus, the thread-like structures. These are the thread-like structures. These are the thread-like structures, which are the chromatin. Actually, see, if the number of chromosome in human cell is 46, chromatin will be also 46. Okay. So 46 chromatin, which will give rise to 46 chromosome. Chromosome is actually the condensed form of chromatin. Fine. So here I've drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 chromatin. Some chromatin are or and like this. See. Now see, this is diffused chromatin, spread out chromatin. Whereas this chromatin is condensed chromatin. Diffused chromatin, euchromatin. Condensed means very condensed at one place, heterochromatin. Then diffused chromatin has active DNA. This has inactive DNA. This stains very light with basic dyes. This stains dark with basic dyes. So that is the difference between euchromatin and heterochromatin. So in the nucleus, the chromatins can either be U or hetero. So euchromatin, first point, diffused chromatin, this is condensed chromatin. Second, this has active DNA. This has inactive DNA. And third, this stains light with basic dye. एक्चुअली न्यूक्लियस को स्टेन करने के लिए बेसिक डाई चाहिए. So stains light with basic dye and this stains dark with basic dye. So that is the difference between U and heterochromatin. Now in entrance exam, there is generally a question asked that in the nucleus, which structure can be mistaken for a nucleolus? Okay, my question, in the nucleus, which structure can be mistaken for nucleolus? So the answer is it can be the heterochromatin, because the heterochromatin stains so deeply. If this is the cell and ये है heterochromatin like this, the nucleus is also, this is the nucleolus. So the nucleolus, the heterochromatin can be mistaken for a nucleolus in a nucleus. Fine. Now next topic, going to study about the types of RNA. I had explained the structure of RNA when I was explaining why RNA is considered to be more unstable than DNA. So now the topic over here is types of RNA. Three types: mRNA, that is messenger RNA. You will write small m. Second, tRNA, transfer RNA. Third, rRNA, ribosomal RNA. So types of RNA: mRNA, all are small letters, okay? mRNA, tRNA, and rRNA. Apart from this, there are other RNA, hnRNA, snRNA, all that we will study as we are studying that, the topic. So here we are only discussing about these three types of RNA. So messenger RNA, tRNA, and rRNA. Actually, all these three, they help in protein synthesis. So their main function in the cell is to produce protein synthesis. Now, I will just show with the help of a diagram, because when I'm explaining each, I'll be giving their function. So you should be able to relate to their function also. So just a small diagram to explain these three types of RNA. Okay. No need to write, no, just look at the board and see. Okay, this is the nucleus, this is the cell. Now, in the nucleus, we have the DNA. This is the DNA. The DNA is the one which commands the cell or to produce a certain type of protein. So, the DNA is actually having the blueprint for protein synthesis, right? Now, see, when I'm saying something to you, you're understanding because we are communicating with the help of a language. But the DNA also needs to communicate to the cell to make a certain type of protein. Now, how does it communicate? So, the DNA will synthesize an mRNA. Okay? mRNA here. The DNA will synthesize, produce an mRNA which is carrying the code for protein synthesis. So this mRNA now carries the code language कि ये protein synthesize होना है. So mRNA obviously is synthesized by DNA. mRNA is first synthesized it in the nucleus. Now this mRNA will come out of the nucleus and it will attach to the ribosomes. mRNA gets attached to the ribosomes. Now ribosome में क्या present है? rRNA. So ribosome का structure, if you have studied in your, obviously in the 11th standard, you have studied that the ribosome has a small subunit and a large subunit. तो small and large subunit. तो इस तरह से mRNA will attach. Now if you see here, mRNA is attaching to the smaller subunit. All this detail we will study when we discuss protein synthesis. So now mRNA has come out and attached to the ribosome. The ribosome has rRNA. So what is the function of rRNA? It is helping in protein synthesis. Fine. Now, what is this tRNA doing? This tRNA is present in the cytoplasm here. It is present in the cytoplasm. It will come and it will read the code. The code is on the mRNA. So it is going to decode. It will decode the code on mRNA and also pick up amino acids, because proteins are produced by amino acids, joining of amino acids by peptide bond. That's how the proteins are produced. So now, three functions. mRNA carries the code for protein synthesis. tRNA decodes the code, reads the code, and picks up amino acid. rRNA is present in the ribosome and it is helping in protein synthesis, because the place for protein synthesis is ribosome. Like you want to make khichdi. You take a vessel, you put dal, you put chawal, you put water, all the masalas. If you don't keep it on the fire, will it cook? It's not going to cook. So that's how it is here. The protein synthesis, the place where the protein is synthesized is the ribosome. So that is the seat, the place of protein synthesis. So now if you have understood the function, now let us understand a little about the structure and some other some other things. So now coming to mRNA. So mRNA carries the,
Excuse me.
yes.
Ma'am, can you explain the line that RNA functions as an adapter structural and in some cases a catalytic molecule?
I will. Okay. First, let me explain the structure and why it's called the adapter molecule. Okay. Now, coming to mRNA. mRNA carries the code for protein synthesis. Carries the code for protein synthesis. mRNA. ये mRNA 5'N, 3'N. mRNA. The 5'N has a cap. The 5'N has a cap which is made up of 7-methyl guanosine. 7-methyl guanosine. 7M. M stands for methyl guanosine. So this is produced from the nucleotide. Okay. So GTP. GTP is the nucleotide. So it is produced from this GTP, guanosine triphosphate. So no need to remember this, but at least G stands for guanosine. So it has a cap. And in the 3'N, there is a tail. That is, I don't have place over here, otherwise I will written over here only. Poly A tail. A stands for adenine. So in a mRNA, at the 5'N has a cap. This cap is so that no other protein can attach from the front like this during protein synthesis, and the cap is making the mRNA stable. So, and 5'N is having a cap, and the mRNA, the 3' end of the mRNA is having a poly A tail, which stabilizes the RNA. And mRNA carries, like I said, the code for protein synthesis. Once the code is read, decoded, and protein synthesis over, so this will break up. mRNA will break up. It will not be there anymore. So we can say that mRNA is short-lived. mRNA is short-lived. So we have 3 4 points here. mRNA is synthesized by a DNA template. I'm not using this word because we have not yet read about the DNA replication, but template means a strand of DNA. So, a strand of DNA will synthesize mRNA. So, 1 point. Second, mRNA is carrying the code of protein synthesis. Third point, mRNA is short lived. And fourth point, that mRNA has a cap of 7 methyl guanosine at the 5' end, and at the 3' end it has a poly A tail. Okay, that is about mRNA. Now the next molecule is tRNA. tRNA. tRNA is also called an adapter molecule. tRNA is also called an adapter molecule. Why is it called an adapter molecule? The what I told you about the function. What is the function of tRNA? It decodes the code on mRNA and picks up amino acid. So if you're asked why tRNA is called an adapter molecule, this is the reason. One, it is decoding the code on mRNA, and second is it is picking up amino acid. Where is tRNA? What produces the tRNA? Again, DNA template. So tRNA is synthesized by a DNA strand, DNA template. Where is tRNA is present? tRNA is present in the cytoplasm. tRNA is present in the cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, so tRNA is present in the cytoplasm of the cell. It decodes the code on mRNA, it picks up amino acid, it is synthesized by a DNA template. Now, the shape, the structure of tRNA, the 2D structure, 2D means two dimensional. 2D structure is clover leaf model or clover leaf structure. Clover means clove. Clove is long. Long के पत्ते जैसा. So like a long leaf. But the long is that, clove. It's English में उसको clove बोलते हैं. So 2D structure. And 3D structure is L-shaped. So tRNA has a 2D structure, which is clover leaf model, like a clover leaf model or clove leaf model, and 3D structure is L shape. वो fold हो जाता है and the shape becomes like an L. I'll be sending you a photo of it in the WhatsApp. You can check with it. So here I will be explaining the clover leaf model of tRNA. So 2D structure, clover leaf model, and 3D structure is L-shaped. Now for the diagram of tRNA. So if you look at the diagram, you will find that the tRNA has three loops here. Three loops. This is 5' end, this is 5' end, and always you read from 5' to 3'. So this is 3' end. Okay? 5' end and 3' end. The 5' end has guanine. What is present in the 5' end? G, guanine. And the 3' end has a code, genetic code. The genetic code consists of three nitrogen base. So CCA. Genetic code is CCA. We, like I said, we read from 5' to 3'. So when you are asked what is the genetic code on the tRNA, you will not say ACC. It is not from top, you're not going to read. You're going to write like this: CCA. That is the genetic code. That is cytosine, and adenine. G stands for guanine. Now, this loop, which is on the right hand side, it is called DHU loop, dihydrouridine loop. It's there. I'll be sending you the uh, diagram also in the notes. So dihydrouridine loop, and this is the amino acid recognizing site. This one is amino acid recognizing site. I told you that tRNA is going to decode the mRNA. So lot of function. It has two main function. One, it is decoding, and second, it is picking up amino acid also. So this side, the DHU loop, is amino acid recognizing site. This side is ribosome recognizing site. It is also called T-Psi-C, that is pseudo-uridine loop. Pseudo-uridine loop. This one, two, three, anticodon. Anticodon. This will decode the mRNA. So this is the side where it will attach to the mRNA. ये mRNA है. So anticodon will decode the mRNA. So again, code 3 nitrogen base, तो ये भी 3 nitrogen base ही होगा. Anticodon is the decoded of the codon. This one, which you see small extending out, it is called the extra arm or the variable loop. Extra arm or the variable loop. Now, the base pairs over here, 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 base pairs here. 4 base pairs. This and this has 5 base pairs each. This one has 7 base pairs. So when you're counting the diagram also, please remember that. Don't just put these lines. They have a particular number. So this is here in this loop there are 5 base pair. Here 5 base pair. 5 base pair. Nitrogen base pair, and here you have 7. 7 base pair. So this diagram is the diagram for the clover leaf model, clover leaf structure of tRNA, having 3 loops: DHU, dihydrouridine loop, which is the amino acid recognizing site; T psi psi, C loop, which is pseudouridine loop, ribosome recognizing site. On the lower part here is the anticodon. Anticodon will decode the code on mRNA. The extra arm or the variable loop, and 5-N has guanine, and 3-N has the genetic code CCA. Now, when the code is read, tRNA will read the code on mRNA and it will pick up amino acid. So the amino acid is picked up at the 3-end. Amino acid is picked up at which end? 3-end, this end. Okay. So now, like someone had asked me a question that why tRNA is called the adapter molecule. So tRNA is called the adapter molecule because of its function. What is its main function? It is decoding the code on mRNA, and second, it is picking up amino acids during protein synthesis, of a protein synthesis. That's why it's called the adapter molecule. And structure is very clear to you. Sometimes the structure can be asked. यह थोड़ा सा इसको ऊपर और नीचे करना है, ये सेम लाइन में नहीं है, इसको थोड़ा सा ऊपर करके डायग्राम बनाना. ओके, so that completes the diagram on tRNA. Now next one, rRNA. rRNA, that is ribosomal RNA. Like I said, rRNA or ribosomal RNA is present in the ribosomes and helps in protein synthesis. Protein synthesis. Now, if you see in a prokaryotic ribosome, that is bacteria, prokaryotic ribosome is 70S. Prokaryotic ribosome is 70S, which has 30S plus 50S. Prokaryotic is 70S, having smaller subunit of 30S and larger subunit of 50S. Don't think that 30 and 50 should add up to 70. It will not happen like that. What do you mean by this S? S is basically Swedberg unit, which is the unit for coefficient of sedimentation. So it is actually the unit for sedimentation, coefficient of sedimentation. So when they are together, larger subunit and smaller subunit is together, then the coefficient of, or the sedimentation constant of the unit becomes lesser than when they are separate. So 70S is smaller subunit of 30S and larger subunit of 50S. Now ये हो गया, इसका डायग्राम बना देते हैं. ये smaller subunit, (30S). This is larger subunit, 50S. Now, इसमें there are ribosomes में mRNA, the RNA is there. So here 16S RNA, smaller subunit has 16S RNA and larger subunit has 5S RNA and 23 sRNA. So the largest subunit, how many RNAs are there? rRNAs are there, or ribosomal RNAs? There are three ribosomal RNAs in a prokaryotic ribosome. 16S, S stands for Weissenberg unit. 16S RNA is present in the smaller subunit, and the larger subunit has 5S RNA and 23S RNA. The function of these rRNA is basically in protein synthesis, site, place of protein synthesis. This is for 70S. Now coming to a eukaryotic ribosome. Eukaryotic ribosome is 80S. 80S, which is 40S plus 60S. 80S, which is 40S plus 60S. So smaller subunit is 40S, larger subunit is 60S. ये 40S and 60S. इसमें the smaller subunit will have 18 sRNA. The larger subunit has 5 sRNA. एक और है 5.8 sRNA and 28 sRNA. So, in a 80S eukaryotic ribosome, eukaryotic means in the true cell, eukaryotic ribosome, the smaller subunit is 40S. The 40S has 18S RNA, not 16. 16 is in the prokaryotic. And the larger subunit, instead of having 2, it has 3. 5S is common, remains. There's one extra 5.8 sRNA, and instead of 23, there is 28 sRNA. So this is there for ribosomal RNA. So we have completed 3 types of RNA: mRNA, tRNA, and rRNA. mRNA is basically carrying the code of protein synthesis. tRNA decodes the code of protein synthesis, protein, and picks up amino acid. And rRNA is the place which is synthesizing the protein. Actually, rRNA is present in the ribosome, so it synthesizes the protein. Now, another question.
Excuse teacher, why is it not counted together? Like, why is it in 3 different parts, 5S and 5.8 then 28?
Why it is like that? It's like that it is present. That's why it's not together. If it was together, then maybe the sedimentation would have been different. But since the sedimentation rates are different for all the rRNA, so that's why they are separately mentioned.
Like they are separated
Yes, they are,
in the,
yeah, they are separate like that only. They are not together. If they were together, then the sedimentation rate would have been different, no?
okay, teacher.
Now, someone had asked me that about RNA as a catalyst and RNA as a genetic material. So, like I said in the previous class also, RNA was the first genetic material, but RNA was replaced by DNA as a genetic material because RNA is unstable. RNA is unstable. So, RNA was the first genetic material as well as a catalyst. As well as a catalyst. Catalyst is basically in living organisms, The biocatalyst is the enzyme. So, RNA was the first genetic material as well as the first enzymes in the living organisms. But because RNA is highly unstable, since it has a single strand, a single strand makes it unstable. The presence of OH in the second carbon atom of ribose sugar makes it unstable. The presence of uracil instead of thymine makes it unstable. Because of these three reasons, slowly the RNA got replaced by DNA as a genetic material. DNA is double stranded, DNA could replicate, DNA is more stable than RNA as a genetic material, so DNA replace. Now, if you look at the entire living organism scenario, you will find that every single living organism has genetic material as DNA. Only some viruses like TMV virus, HIV-3 virus have RNA as genetic material. Rest all the entire living organism, the DNA is the genetic material. Now, coming to the catalyst part. The catalyst also, like I said, in the beginning, the RNA was the enzyme or the catalyst. Catalyst, it will accelerate the rate of reaction, right? But later on, now if you have studied enzyme chapter in the 11th standard, you all know that the proteins are the enzymes. All enzymes are proteinaceous except for few enzymes like ribonuclease P is an RNA. Ribozyme is RNA in composition. Rest all enzymes, all catalysts have become proteinaceous. Why again proteinaceous? Because this is more stable than RNA. It can, you can say that it is more thermolabile, does not denature with changes in temperature so fast. So the basically is stability. So due to RNA being unstable, it was replaced by DNA as genetic material and replaced by proteins as catalysts or enzymes. So that's the entire concept about DNA and RNA. Now, if you have any doubts, you can ask.